said that Gutfeld talks about you all the time.
Who is he? Really, who is he?
I don't watch the show.
He has a show.
I don't watch the
never
show.
heard of him.
Yeah.
I guess he's just obsessed with me.
No. Next, Joy's gonna say she's never heard of carbs.
Picture Joy Behar trying to keep it together, while Greg Gutfeld casually delivers a verbal knockout. So fierce it made her foundation reconsider its career path. Did Joy actually lose it on live TV? Or was that just her pride waving the white flag in high definition? Either way, this glorious train wreck of sarcasm, shade, and secondhand embarrassment is a must-watch spectacle that's equal parts painful and hilarious.
Last week, Joy Behar accused Elon Musk of being pro-apartheid, but then begged him afterwards not to sue. Musk's lawyers have yet to comment because they're still checking to see if it's legal to sue a cow. Shots fired. It's a legal question. I don't know why it's so upsetting. I don't make the rules in this country.
Joy Behar has long reigned as the sassy monarch of daytime television, armed with quips sharp enough to hush a kindergarten riot. Her barbed one-liners and signature eye rolls have been her armor for years, slicing through nonsense like butter. But even the most seasoned verbal warrior has an off day, and this was it. Enter Greg Gutfeld, turning her usual spotlight into a heat lamp of unfiltered scrutiny, roasting her like an overcooked Sunday dinner.
It's about the View. It's become like a medical hospital that displays human misfailure. Like it's like here, let's look at this political oddity. You know, it's like it really is like the left-wing equivalent of a carnival sideshow, except instead of bearded ladies and fat clowns and two-headed cows. Well, let me rephrase that. But The View is a victim of the sunk cost fallacy. You know, how can you now speak the truth when for years you've been telling lie after lie after lie? Now you're carrying this big bag of rocks around you because it's too harmful for their ego to admit that we really were dishonest. And they could be honest. All they would have to say is, look, we hate Trump so much. We were willing to lie about Joe Biden because we felt he was preferable. We thought our lying and our cover-up was on your behalf. Just say that. You're still scum, but at least you're honest.
Let's take a moment to appreciate Greg Gutfeld, the human embodiment of biting satire. His jokes are so dry they could trigger a drought, and his comedic timing is lethal. Greg doesn't just deliver burns, he scripts the entire takedown with the finesse of a director and the punch of a cartoon anvil. Watching him work is like seeing stand-up comedy meet psychological chess.
Some news, the feral monsters of The View say they've never heard of you-know-who. True, the show that makes mornings hell claim that my name doesn't ring a bell. It's time for...
Our view on The View. Ugh.
Yeah, the witch's coven finally shows me some lovin'. Yesterday on The View, yours truly was the subject of conversation. Apparently the broads have no idea who I am, or so they say. Hit it, Glad.
When Greg locks in on someone, it's not just a roast, it's a masterclass in public demolition. He blends surgical strikes with the brutal honesty of a sugar-starved toddler. Now imagine Joy Behar, comfortable in her daytime talk show perch, suddenly blindsided by a barrage of finely honed barbs. It felt less like a disagreement and more like a scene from a drama, where the plot twist is public embarrassment in high definition.
Republican presidential candidate Tim Scott dropped by the Furry Five earlier today, and I thought the U.S. had a distinct policy against torture. He took the opportunity to call them out over crap Joy Behar recently said about him, specifically that he doesn't get systemic racism, which is like saying Brian Stelter doesn't get Ben and Jerry's. But Joy Behar gets racism after all. She's been black on Halloween. Yeah. But Joy wasn't there on the show. Apparently Mondays are her days off when she feeds in the pasture. But that is convenient, right? It's like one of my aunts dies every time Brian Kilmeade wants to.
This wasn't some friendly jab fest. Greg Gutfeld showed up loaded for bear, dismantling Joy's arguments piece by piece with the calm precision of a sniper. The segment played out like a popcorn-worthy disaster in slow motion. Greg began with playful prods at Joy's latest political soundbites, but soon transformed it into a strategic takedown of her entire on-air persona. He didn't shout, didn't insult, his sarcasm was so finely tuned it practically wore cufflinks. What unfolded wasn't a debate, it was a solo showcase of dry wit versus a crumbling facade. Greg held firm. Joy stumbled like someone he missed. The cue in her own monologue. That infamous moment didn't just sting, it detonated. Calm before the storm. More like storm disguised as calm. Greg circled her talking points like a hawk eyeing a limping rabbit.
Sausage maker Johnsonville is recalling more than 42,000 pounds of pork sausage for possible contamination with plastic fibers. Fortunately, authorities were able to track all 42,000 pounds to a single location in New York City.
Joy had tossed out some of her usual hot takes recently, nothing out of the ordinary. But Greg zeroed in like a shark smelling blood. What looked like banter turned into a strategic roast session. That didn't just challenge her views, deconstructed them. Greg wasn't throwing haymakers, he was precision striking. Each joke and point sharpened like a scalpel. The vibe shifted quickly from playful ribbing to full-on verbal evisceration. And Joy, typically unshakable and quick with the snark, faltered. Her trademark sass ran dry, and her stunned silence said it all. For someone known for fearless comebacks, seeing her visibly shaken was like spotting Bigfoot in yoga pants. This went deeper than wounded ego. Joy wasn't just caught off guard. She was blindsided in a forum where being unflappable is the name of the game.
Now, I make fun of The View a lot, but that's only because they keep talking. Those hens are always clucking. They get to say stupid stuff for an hour every day, and then I get to say stupid stuff for an hour every day, except on purpose. But every now and then, one of those dingbats inadvertently says something that reveals modern liberal thought so perfectly, it deserves further study. You know, like a weird serpent that washed up on the beach and you want to poke it with a stick.
This was more than just a crack in Joy Behar's tough exterior. It was a momentary glimpse at the person hiding behind the well-rehearsed persona. The sting wasn't just in the embarrassment, but in what it revealed, the steep emotional toll of always being on in the relentless glare of the public eye. Joy's slip-up wasn't a simple meltdown, it was an exposed nerve in a high-stakes media battlefield. That falter wasn't a failure, but a quiet surrender in a game where every blink, every breath, every silence is a calculated risk. For those really watching, it wasn't just about her losing her edge, it was a quiet scream of burnout under pressure. Even the most battle-hardened voices can get tangled in their own web, especially when squared off against a calculated assassin. Like Gutfeld, this wasn't a tabloid moment, it was a strangely intimate unraveling set against a backdrop of spectacle. Joy's rock-solid image took a hit, and cameras captured a rare stumble, a flash of doubt cutting through her usual curtain of smug defiance. No biting clapback, no righteous fury, just an eerie, telling silence. If you looked closely, you could almost sense her searching for a way out, scanning for a snappy line to toss out like a life preserver, but none came.
It's a good strategy on the behalf of The View to pretend we don't exist when we know they know we exist.
That's a brilliant idea. I do it all the time.
Yeah.
Gutfeld. I'm sorry, not ringing the bell.
Usually at the airport.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah. Huh? Really? I sit next to him? Really? No, this is what elitists do who can't, like, if you don't know who someone is, how did you know to automatically hate him? Mm-hmm. Like, I mean, that's how fake and full of she is. Gutfeld, never heard of him. Don't like him. Why? Cause why? That's why I just turned to one of my kids. Cause why?
Yeah.
Cause I don't know who he is. Never heard of him at all in my entire life. But why? Cause I don't know. Because they are the last TV show to talk about high turnover. Mm-hmm. We've been rolling 3 steady for a long time.
Yeah.
We don't take breaks in the commercial to get away from each other. Well, that's what the drinking's for.
Yes.
Life in the media circus means everything is amplified, every slip dissected, every grin scrutinized, every emotion weaponized. That's why so many build emotional fortresses out of sarcasm, bluster, and bravado. Joy Behar has long ruled that domain, turning outrage into a performance art and criticism into applause lines. But even the strongest walls crumble when the foundation is flawed. And Greg Gutfeld just found her weak spot. This wasn't just a gaffe, it was a media event, sparking a wildfire of conversation that stretched far beyond the studio walls. Joy's visible unraveling wasn't about politics or losing a debate, it was the moment when constant pressure collided with a challenger who knew exactly where to strike. The internet erupted once the clip dropped. Opinions exploded like confetti. Some hailed Greg as a savage tactician, others sympathized with Joy's very public vulnerability. Memes spread like wildfire, some casting Greg
He
as a
mocks Joy
rhetorical
Behar's
warrior,
habit of
others
rewriting
turning
history
Joy into a
mid-sentence.
dazed
Sonny
cartoon
Hostin's
figure drowning in
eternal panel
sarcasm.
says something absurd.
Verdict wasn't.
Greg hears it,
Greg
rolls
Gutfeld
his
had
eyes
pulled
so
off the
hard they
legendary
change wet,
takedown,
and then goes
and
full
Joy had been
verbal
knocked off the
WWE
pedestal
on
she
daytime
thought was hers
television's
alone.
most
Here's Joy Behar talking about refusing to share a kidney.
I find my friends with a Trump supporter. I won't give them a kidney, but I could be friends with them.
Hey, Joy, it's a kidney, not a pizza. Of course, she's kidding at first, but then she goes on to explain the moral foundation for her resentment, and it's the same one that drives all deadly ideologies.
But why does it matter beyond the viral buzz? Because it peels back the curtain on the exhausting facade required to survive in the world of televised commentary. This wasn't just a sparring match, it was a glimpse into the emotional cost of pretending to be unshakable. Joy's stumble wasn't a random misstep, it was a painful reminder that public figures aren't immune to pressure. Gutfeld's approach was textbook precision, no raised voice, no trash talk, just pinpoint satire delivered with deadly calm. It was a clinic on how to wage war with words without drawing blood, at least not visibly. Analysts will dissect this for months, pointing to it as an example of how humor, when sharpened right, becomes a weapon of mass deconstruction. For Joy, it marked a sobering moment of reckoning. She didn't just lose a battle, she had her carefully constructed image cracked in real time. And the aftermath, predictably savage, social media turned into a coliseum. Hashtags flew, piled up, and timelines flooded with hot takes. Greg's takedown didn't just stir the pot, it dumped gasoline on the fire.